Fling.
I just noticed that's the first time I've seen you with your nails done.
Is that the,
I love
is that the
how you
gift?
noticed that.
Yeah, this was a gift
Notice things.
from the client.
A client got you that?
Yeah.
What? Oh, the watch, right? Yeah, dude, this guy got gifted a watch.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like $1,000.
It was like a $2,000 watch.
Yeah.
I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The commission alone was
The
less than
commission
that.
alone was less than that commercial. He made like $1,000 off the commercial.
That's straight up what it was.
Watch.
And on top of that $1,000 commission, I got three referrals plus a cold watch.
Everyone got their
Chillin'.
phones muted.
Yeah.
I just put mine over there.
We could bring that. I think that kind of that story actually relates to a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, is there anything specific you guys want to cover?
Is there anything specific you guys are gonna ask me?
So I'm gonna be.
So no,
Same.
honestly, it's about
Same.
like
we have an idea, but we don't at the same time. So it's we're gonna be focusing on. I kind of highlighted some of the questions over there.
Through it too quickly.
I came with a bit of an itinerary.
Okay, yeah. What is it? What's your itinerary?
Well, I'm expecting you guys to ask me why I joined Oracle. That's number one. My reason why I got into real estate in the first place. Obstacles that I've faced, and just figuring out your reason why. I think that one is a huge one for me.
That's
perfect.
And another thing I wanted to talk about is how your relationships tie in to real estate as well, right? Because you have so many aspects of life, and you got to make sure that every cup is kind of full without overflowing into each other, right? So I came prepared.
Yo, is this recording?
This guy got it down.
Is it
I love
recording?
it.
It's already started?
We're rolling, but you can start whenever.
Oh, shit.
So I did.
Okay.
Let me just drink some water though.
Get hydrated.
Stay hydrated because it's hot. It was like 18, 20 degrees.
Yeah, it's nice outside.
All right, let's make sure that our
Ooh, I was gonna say
with our mics. Let it
me
flow.
and you will share.
Let it flow, bro.
Who we should make them do rock paper scissors, or who we're gonna introduce first?
I got it. We got this. We
Yeah?
got this.
Alright.
Actually, yeah. Go rock paper scissors real quick.
I'll just
Test.
go first. I'll go first.
There you go.
There you go.
You know,
you gotta
everyone get their distance because like last time we were so far away.
Yeah, well, we have to move forward.
Like
the
to the mic?
Yeah, to the mic. You're gonna have to move forward. and
That's
talk.
fine. I can
Yeah.
just chill like this,
Like
right?
this?
Do we each individually want to test it?
Look at Jack there, Jakey.
Hopefully that's not on the
Hey, Marshall, we
podcast.
good? Awesome, we rolling, guys. You guys ready? You guys ready? Episode 2 for Oracle Experience. Let's do this. We got the young guns. I thought we'd start off with something a little different here. Let's do a little bit of an icebreaker since we got all the young cats here. Okay, so rather than us introducing you guys, I think let's have you guys introduce yourselves. And I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. What's your name, of course, so you could tell everyone who you are. When did you get into the industry of real estate and why? All right, who wants to go first?
I'll take one for the team. Okay. Jake Nesbit. I'm the youngest of the Oracle family. The just early. It's just
He's a baby. Is what he's saying.
baby in the industry. I've been about over a year now. So February was a year. I'm 21. Started when I was 20. 1 year, about 6 months with Oracle now, officially. And I joined because I didn't really want to, I was good in school when I was younger, but I didn't want to do another 4 years for a degree. I just wanted to get started, kind of get out there and try to make something for my own. And, real estate was something that's always interested me, just for my personal, self. But I was like, hey, I can make a career out of this. Let's give this a shot. And so instead of doing the typical 4-6 years, whatever, to get a degree, I decided to jump right in. And a year later, it's coming along. It's going pretty well.
Perfect. Start young, just like David.
Yeah.
Up next. Up next.
So guys, my name's Jason Bhatoie. I'm actually Oracle Property Group's newest member. I got licensed back in 2018, so it's been about almost 6 years for myself. It's been a bit of an up and down road just because of, one, I didn't do full-time real estate when I first signed up. I was actually working a full-time job, and I didn't really take things too seriously. But the reason I actually got my license was I found myself sitting in a classroom at UFV, and yeah, I just was so disconnected from what I was once interested in, which was business administrative. And I just found myself sitting there thinking, this person in front of me has little to no business experience, yet they're trying to teach me how to run a successful business in the future. And that was enough for me to kind of just put my hands back and say, you know what, I'm done with the schooling. And when I took a step back, lucky enough, I met somebody through a marketing company that you could kind of identify as possibly a pyramid scheme back in the day. And yeah, he's only 1 year older than me. He actually introduced me to the world of real estate, as his mom and dad were realtors as well. And that's something that really caught me on, and he pushed me so hard that I eventually just ended up getting my real estate license. And here I am almost 6 years later.
Sweet.
Nice. My name is Shae-Lynn Loewen. I got my license about 4 years ago. So kind of same thing with Jake. I did not like school, and I didn't want to go
does?
And so I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. And then so my dad said, like, hey, like, you'd be a really good real estate agent. And I was like, that's a good point. Like, I love helping people. I'm a people person. So then here I am. I passed my license, or I got my license. And then I did it for 2 years. And then I held my license for a year. Took a different opportunity. And then I just was able to learn more and get more knowledge. And then here I am 4 years later.
I'm going to steal this from you real quick, Jake.
Taking over.
Because, Jim, you're not safe on this one, too. Let everyone know.
So why we got into real estate?
Who you are, why, and how.
All right. So most people already know me with Oracle, Jim Makkar. I've been doing real estate now for 4 years, going in on my 5th. Honestly, I got into it when I was a banker. I was sitting in the bank and I was like, I can't do this no more. Sitting there working in a cubicle, getting a manager hounding you all day, them wanting to sell you a credit card to every other person that walks in. They just pretty much were pushing us to drown people in debt. And I just didn't feel good inside giving a person another credit card who's already drowning in debt. So for me, I actually was reached out from David. David was always telling me, get your real estate license. So I lived in Kelowna first, and he told me, he's like, get your license. I never did it, came back, got into banking with my schooling and all that stuff. Left that, got into real estate, and I joined a firm in Vancouver because I chased the cheap brokerage. Anyone out there, don't do that. I chased the cheap brokerage. I started with a company that's no longer around. They auctioned homes and stuff like that. Fortunate for me, I switched to Sutton. This was a while back with David and Sunny, and this was before Oracle formed. We all started working together, collaborating, and I was there kind of learning from David and Sunny. David really took me under his wing and just taught me everything. Within 1 year, I learned what it would take someone 5 years to learn. Yeah, then my why is pretty much for my family, right? Retire the dad. Most of our parents are immigrants here. I guess you guys can all agree that our parents have busted their behinds to get us somewhere and not be bad members of society, as we've seen a lot around us. We grew up with a lot of people who didn't choose the right lifestyle. We all did. And I think we're all out here because we want to make our parents proud and show them that, hey, thanks for coming to Canada, giving us an opportunity, because we did get a head start compared to a lot of other people in the world. So, yeah, that's me.
I think being born in Canada is just like the birth lottery in the first place, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Out of all places in the world, your parents decided to come to Canada in Abbotsford. It's funny enough, our parents came from the same place in
village,
India,
exactly. Our parents
and
are
then
from the
they
same
ended up
village.
in the same town in
Yeah.
Abbotsford.
So, Shawn, it's your turn now, buddy. I'm not letting you off the hook.
I thought I was safe here. Well, everyone knows who I am, Shawn here. How I got into real estate was because, well, my brother was obviously in the industry before I was. So I always like to see it as like, it's always going to be like a family business, right? It's like, we're going to keep carrying on that legacy in a sense where he was in real estate. Now it's my turn. Then who knows, right? Now, why I got into it as well, on top of my brother being into it, is very similar to you guys, right? What I always loved about real estate is, and this is something I've always said my whole life, is I've always wanted to do something where you get rewarded for how hard you work and the things that you put in, the amount of value that you put in, right? Like before this, I was in corporate. I was a manager. I was doing very well for myself. I was very comfortable, but at the same time too, right, it wasn't exactly a fit to my lifestyle. I wanted to be able to really show for something, be able to help people at a much grander scale. And what better way than to help someone with the biggest investment of their lives, right? So I think real estate really helps you in that way. It obviously it feels so good being able to help others, as I'm sure you guys are fully aware of as well. So I'm happy to have you guys here. Happy to talk about your guys' stories and all that stuff. And what's also cool is I think with that practice on hand, we pretty much established that we're all under 30 here.
Yeah.
And with being 30, I wanted to kind of highlight some things where in real estate, maybe being young could possess some challenges. And I want to have an open forum with you guys. Would you guys say that in your career so far, has it presented any challenges with you guys being younger?
I think one of the biggest challenges of being young is with your own family. So with your extended family, even your immediate family, they know you as Jim,
the kid,
child
of the
that
family,
you know
exactly.
for X amount of years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit harder for those people to trust you in that sense, because when a stranger, for example, is approaching you at your open house, you're already in that position where they're coming to you. It's a warm lead, and the cards are kind of in your hand. At the end of the day, you might be showing them a $2 million home. So it puts that perspective into place. But for example, with myself, definitely in my early years, a lot of my family chose not to use me as a realtor, and I didn't really let that discourage me. It's something I kind of used as fuel to better myself as an agent. So when time did come for them to buy and sell again, I was definitely top of mind.
Nice.
Yeah.
For real.
And that, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. When I first got licensed, someone had said to me, like, it was open conversation, and they're like, you know, like, when I'm ready to list my house, like, I'd rather use someone with more experience and time who's been licensed for a lot longer than you. And, like, for when they're ready to buy something, like, they'd be comfortable using me. And, like, obviously, it's something that you don't really want to hear, because you put your 100% in no matter what, even if you're newly licensed. But, you know, like you said, like, don't let that discourage you. Just be confident, and, you know, you're not always going to work with every person. So
Same thing here. I mean, I had close family not use me, but, you know, I think some of my other family was more mad than I was. So, you know, I didn't take it to heart. You know, and still, I mean, the other day my mom was looking at our bus stop, of course admiring me, not you, get out of here. And she posted on her Facebook, and all of her friends, they're all like, oh my God, I remember this guy when he was a baby. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's kind of like a shock for them to see, like, oh, I've seen this.
Because everyone
guys
has
is
like
a-
a perceived perception
Yeah,
of
they
you,
see
right?
me as
Like, they'll see you as
a
the kid they've always
6-month-old.
known you as
Yeah.
growing up, kind of thing. So it's very common,
Mhm.
very common, especially even when I was starting, when I was like 26. It was different, but it was weird though too, because I picked up some elder clients as well. Like,
Yeah.
I've got clients who are like in their 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
some 70s, and those guys are the ones that first gave me a chance. Like, my first ever lady that gave me a chance, her name was Agnes. I met her at an open house. I was just like a young buck at that time, and she's like, I'm going to give you a chance because you're a very honest gentleman. So she gave me a listing, and she bought 2 places off me. So it was like, wow, this lady actually went out of her way, gave me a chance, and till this day, we're still in touch.
Sweet.
She's that one lady that'll always be like at top of mind because she took a chance on a young guy, right?
Right.
But I proved my way. We got her great offer for her listing. We got her moved into a condo that actually has a 1-bedroom suite attached to it. So it worked out great. It's in Ware Street in Abbotsford. So coming down to the age thing, now I'm getting closer to 30 and I'm seeing it. You know, I'm 1 year away, but in those 4 years, I've seen how people just start treating you a little bit different as you get older. And then once you get like a girlfriend and this, and then you buy your own properties, then people start seeing you for a different person, right? So my thing was, when I first started real estate, I was like, no matter what I do, I have to buy a house for myself. So within year 1, I saved up all my money, bought a house, and just today I completed on another property in Prince George. So
awesome.
now it's becoming more real, because now I'm doing the investments, I'm buying properties, I'm managing getting mortgages and figuring out all the insurances. When it becomes first hands-on experience, it also changes the way you also now start dealing with people, because you now realize how stressful it really is. Because sometimes we just look at our job as like, oh, I'm here to help them buy a house. But honestly, we are people that need to manage our clients' emotions. We need to be there for them and teach them all these things. And I feel like it just comes with age and it comes with experience, right? So it's going to be tough for all of us, but we're lucky we're part of like a very big team and have a lot of support.
No, and I definitely think that when you are young, it definitely can bring some challenges. I think we've kind of all shared it a little bit. Like we've been on the other side of it, and I was talking to Jim yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a funny story because I was actually just part of that recently too, where one of the deals that I just closed, the context behind that was it was more so of a referral from a mortgage broker. And when he's like, hey, have you used Shawn? And he's just like, Shawn? Like, no, he's young. and then mortgage broker was obviously, he said a lot of good things. He's like, no, Shawn's actually come a long way. And then the moment he told me that, I picked up the phone, I gave him a call. I was just like, hey, I heard you need help. And then 3 days later, we close on a home, done. And we just got subjects removed earlier.
One and done, baby. One showing, let's
and
go.
I think why I also wanted to share that story as well is, yes, there is going to be challenges, but it's also how, one, you carry yourself, and two, how are you able to like really showcase that they are going to be in good hands. Kind of like what you just said, like how you had to get a home.
Yeah.
So you could actually like tell the client like, yeah, I am young, but I've also owned property. I've also invested.
Yeah.
I've been able to do some of those different
And
things.
we can prepare them for what's to come.
Yeah.
The pressure,
Yeah.
getting your ducks in order, like getting all your financing, getting your insurance figured out, getting the title search done, reading the property disclosure statement. Like there's actually a lot of work that goes in behind it all. And what our job, I feel like, really kicks in compared to what other people do is we literally hold our client's hand through the entire process for the new ones. Obviously, I have some clients out there who've bought and done more real estate than I can even imagine. They have more acreages, they have more houses, more everything, but they're out there. But thing is, what I've always done is I've always asked them questions then. How can I learn from you? What do they have to offer me as well? Like there's some clients, how I got them, all I said was, hey, like you've been doing real estate longer than I've been alive. I'm here to listen to your direction too. I'll do my job to my best extent for you, but I also want to learn from you and figure out how you built your empire, right? Because we are young. And when you can tell that to someone that you're genuinely looking for like some mentorship or some guidance, people love that.
Yeah. And additional to that, how many times have you guys gone to a listing appointment where somebody says, I don't want to work with a dinosaur. I want somebody who's
Exactly.
and persistent.
Yeah.
They're going to go the extra mile for me, and they're going to adapt to the way the market's changing and the way the marketing is changing, right? So that's something that can actually be a great value for being young.
Yeah. And I feel like one thing that we all really focused on, like, you know, there's always two sides to every coin. There's going to be the good and the bad. So me and Shawn were going over this yesterday. Like, yes, we might be younger, but there might be an agent who's like 50 and they're way more outdated than we are. We can get all the information, all the stats, everything in a click of a button on our phone. We're all tech savvy. We grew up with this technology world, and that's the way the world's going. So in our favor, we have that we grew up alongside with technology, and we know how to use it to the fullest extent compared to someone who might be elder, who's still old school, right? Maybe they can use DocuSign, great. But there's other things in this world that you need to succeed nowadays as an agent. You need to have all the stats ready. You need to have everything figured out, and you do need it on your phone. Like most of us here, you agree, we all live off of our phones, right? So
I think one thing that's overlooked about being a real estate agent is the fact that you have to work the hours that other people are not working. So if you're not able to put in those late nights where you're able to actually put in an offer with your client that might have gotten off of work at 8 p.m. or put in those weekends for open houses, door knocking, what might be, then I think you're in the wrong business.
Mm-hmm. You bring up a good point that obviously both of you guys, like there are some advantages. Is there any other advantage that you guys can really bring to the table on why sometimes it may be better to go with a younger agent or even a newer agent for that matter? Can you guys think of anything?
I mean, I think our team, we really do a great job. We're proactive. I mean, we won't just wait and sit for something to come to the market. We will go out and look for the supply for you guys. I mean, recently we had a client that was looking for a specific condo in White Rock in a super, super hot, subcategory. And, we did a custom flyer campaign for that. We will search, we will knock doors for our clients. We'll put in the sweat equity and, go that extra mile, not just, sit back, wait
Mhm.
3 months. Like if someone's ready to move, we will help move you as quick as possible. Kind of.
Agreed. And like I'll run a little bit of a story time here. So me and another colleague, this was actually my very first listing that I'm going to kind of share with you guys here. So me and a colleague, we used to be persistent with our door knocking, especially when I first started there. And we door knocked this one expired property. Again, this is me as a new agent going up to a 5,500 square foot home in Fraser Heights. We door knocked it, and the seller was very standoffish. And part of that might have been because I was young. Who knows? It might have been the fact that I'm some random guy standing on his doorstep some random evening in the weekday, right? But what ended up happening was he didn't share his information with us. We shared our information with him. And this was actually around Christmas time. So I knew I'd be going back into the area for another appointment close by. What we ended up doing was we got him a $1 scratch and win, and we took it to him with a Christmas card. When he opened the door and he's like, "You again," we gave him this card. And he opened it up in front of us and he looked at us and he said, "Thank you, but you really shouldn't have." And our response was, "Yes, we shouldn't have, but imagine what we would do if we were your agent." 2 days later,
That's
I get a
good.
call. We listed this house, we sold it, and we got them into a new condo, which they downsized into. So it just shows like persistence and, like you said, the drive of just being young. It can get things done. And people do appreciate it.
And that's huge, right? A lot of people miss opportunities, and opportunities are in the air. You got to grab them. It's like money. Money's in the air too. It's all up to you. You just got to go grab it, get out there, right? And that's the biggest thing, like Jake said. We'll go out right away and get something done. And part of it might have to do with we're young. We're not tired. We got stuff. We got things keeping us going, and we have energy to get things done, right? None of us here have kids, right? We get our good 8 hours sleep every night. Right? Depends if you're sleeping.
Some more than others, right?
Some more than others.
Don't know about 8 hours. Shae-Lynn, on the other hand, how many hours of sleep do you get tonight?
I got 10 at least every night. Oh yeah.
10 hours.
Anything less than 8.
Was
no,
it like
that's
yesterday you're just like, yeah, I had 11, 12 hours sleep?
A well-rested agent.
11 and a half hours.
You got to prioritize what's important to you.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And if you need sleep to run, you need. Yeah, if you need sleep to function, then you need sleep to function, right? This is how it goes.
No, and I like what you guys have, what you guys said. You guys are door knocking. You guys, you're thinking outside of the box, and I think that's another advantage to being young and I guess you could say, quote unquote, newer in the game as opposed to people who've been there longer, because you guys are hungry. You guys are wanting to show that you guys are ready to really take care of them. I think at the end of the day, there's always going to be a preconceived notion on whatever it may be. Oh, you're too young, or oh, you have tattoos, or oh, whatever this may be. But at the end of the day, how are you guys going to serve the client is what's going to really set you guys apart. And I see that from a lot of you guys. I work closely with a lot of you guys, right? So it's awesome to see.
That's why first impressions are so important as well. Like open houses weekly is just so important because you never know. Like when I first got licensed, my first client, I met them through the open house. And like they didn't like that condo that I was doing an open house at, but they reached out after because their first impression, like they liked me and they weren't working with a realtor. So then like I helped them sell their place and then downsize, and then I helped their 2 kids as well. So you never know. So that's why it's always important. Like you said, Shawn, like how you carry yourself is so important.
Open houses are really bread and butter, especially for a new agent. That's something that's super low cost. Again, I would suggest doing at least a minimum of 2 a week. And that's something where leads are actually walking up to you. You're not intrusive where you're going to door knock on someone's house where you might be disturbing them. This is actually people who have put in thought enough into purchasing a home that they got in their vehicle and they drove to this house just to go take a look, whether they're pre-qualified or not. So this is something super important that I think every agent should be treating this as an addition, as an addition of yourself being this person's agent, right? So that's where you're going to show your value. And just asides from that, if you're doing open houses every single weekend and you're setting out X amount of signs like you should be, it's just going to familiarize people with your face and say, hey, you know what? This guy is actually working every single weekend.
And that's what it is, right? You got to be out there. You can't expect the business to come to you, like Jake said again, right? Just got to put yourself out there. Don't be shy. There's always going to be people who don't like you. You're always going to have haters. But remember, the better you start doing, you'll also get more lovers. And that's one thing that I learned a lot from this industry. Yes, you're going to get haters. You're going to get people that don't want you to do well or whatever it is. Or they're just not happy with their lives and they're miserable. It is what it is. But you're going to end up gaining more lovers throughout this industry. You're going to have a lot of people that support you. Like me, in these past 4 years, I built great relationships with a bunch of appraisers, a bunch of inspectors, all the realtors that I'm homies with. Like, you end up growing like your own community for yourself too, right? Because a lot of the agents I work with, we're not there trying to screw each other over. Like, every deal I've done there's been a fine line to understand that, hey, I'm working for the buyer, you're working for the seller, or whatever side of the coin you're on. But there comes that camaraderie too with a lot of agents where we respect each other too. And that just comes from building relationships over time, right? And then what it is, we've learned from our team leaders, build those relationships, not with just clients, but also other people in the industry too, right? So.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is we service our community and our community treats us very well. So that's something that we have to put back as well. So at the end of the day, the giving is what starts the receiving. I know it's kind of beat to death, that term there, but it's absolutely true.
No, totally. Value at the end of the day, value is really what it comes down to. And one of the things I was thinking about on the top of my head when you brought that up was like, how do you establish your business when you are new in the industry or when you are young? Like I remember this story with, like, when I first got into the business, I was asking my brother, I'm like, how do you get your business? And he's like, well, a lot of it's just sphere of influence as well as referrals. And I'm thinking as a young dude, I'm just like, man, like, I don't really have that. Right? So what are you going to do? You're going to be doing open houses every weekend. You're going to find what clicks with you, like whether it be online leads or whether it be Jake door knocking. How many homes a day?
I think the record's only 80.
Like this guy's like Jake, obviously talking about how he's the youngest on the team. How is he going to establish that? He's going to go door knock every single day or every single week at the very minimum, right? So keep doing that, right? I like to do networking. I like to do whatever it may be. Yeah. So keep going at it, right?
I think one thing that really differentiates Jake from everyone else is anyone can go door knock and say, hey, I'm a realtor, I'm here to sell your house, or there's a house that down the street that just sold to you guys. But the fact that the information is all available online and it's all free and then no one looks at it, but Jake's out there analyzing it, reading it, and actually sharing this with people, that's value right there, because it doesn't take much for somebody to put on a nice suit and go knock the doors, but what kind of value are you actually providing to these people? Like, in what manner are you going to be able to help them? What are you able to teach them? So these are all things that people take into consideration, whether you're younger or older.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to, right? That Oracle experience. Like, we go out there and we provide information and value. We're just not there trying to be salesmen. Because we all learned quick that real estate is not for salesmen. If you're a salesman, you're in the wrong industry. You might do well for a few months or a few years, but it'll catch up eventually. This industry is all about being honest, providing value, and being ethical, and having integrity, right? Like they say in our real estate book, our fiduciary duty. Yeah. I know you all remember that word, right?
Big word.
That big word.
And it's not about having a one-time customer. It's about creating a lifetime client, and that comes through relationship and how you service them. So if you're able to separate yourself from the pack by providing this Oracle experience, then that's something that's really going to help you excel your business and also excel your clients' goals as well.
Switching it up a bit here, because I think we provided a lot of value to the newer agents or the younger agents, people thinking about getting into the industry for that matter. Now, what about the people out there who are thinking about buying or eventually going to be that first-time home buyer? Like, what are some advice that you have for them?
I definitely would recommend them leaning on their professional. So leaning on the real estate agent, whoever they may choose, and just ask as many questions. Like, no question is a dumb question. So like when you're uncomfortable with anything, like just ask, never be afraid. And definitely it's one of those things, you know, it's a big investment in your life, or it's one of your biggest investment in your life, and just be confident and ask as many questions as you can.
Yeah, it's also good to not get caught up in external factors. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to buy a house. At the end of the day, that's their goal. They don't want to live in a townhouse. They don't want to live in a condo. For most people, they want to have a house with their own land. But the fact is that we live in British Columbia. Things are expensive. Bring cash. But
literally bring cash.
One of the most important things is to get in where you fit in. And what I mean by that is if you can afford that condo, you go purchase that condo today. and you go live in it and you pay off your own mortgage, or at least pay it down a significant amount, hopefully. And as the market grows, you'll grow with it. Because I've seen too many people that have said, I want to buy a townhouse. So they continue to save, and then they get priced out of even the condo market. So that's a situation you don't want to put yourself in. So definitely get in where you fit in and grow with the market.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? Like, you can't make decisions based on what other people are saying around you. Because I have a lot of first-time buyers that will get influenced by either their family, friends, or saying, don't buy it now. Right now is a bad time. It's funny, I came across this funny meme, and it's like 2021, bad time to buy real estate. 2022, bad time to buy real estate. And then he just kept going all the way on to 2024. And then at the end, the guy's like, well, all those people that bought in 2021 made a good choice, kind of thing, right? So like Jason said, you got to get in where you can fit in. So if you have a chance to buy anything, especially in BC and the Fraser Valley, regardless or not, it's going to do you good. Just make sure you get into the right condo. Make sure it doesn't have crazy levies and all that stuff coming up. But you'll eventually find yourself having growth. Like, my first property I bought for like $560K. I know that's a property. It's not a condo. So imagine what that thing's worth now 5 years later, right? So, like, for me, that property's helping me take advantage of pulling out equity, buying another property, just bought a duplex, all because of a house I bought 5 years ago, right? So a lot of people need to learn that you need to have patience, especially if you're a first-time buyer. If you're a pre-approved for $400K, go buy what you can get for $400K. Instead of paying someone else rent, pay your own mortgage. It's simple. You guys probably heard this on a million other podcasts. You probably heard it from a million other people. If you're renting, you're paying your landlord's mortgage. Well, go pay your own mortgage, and then you can get ahead. Because when you're paying your own mortgage, you're technically building your own savings account. And then as you keep paying your mortgage down, it's your own savings account. Then you pull that money back out, and you can go back into the market again.
At the same time, you're climbing that equity ladder.
Exactly, right? And that's the biggest thing.
No, totally. And I the most important thing is just getting in.
Yeah.
Just getting in. Just get in. You, like Jim, you brought up a good point. It's like eventually that property is just going to go up in value. And you brought up a good point too. If you kind of just wait for it, then everything's just going to go up, and you're just going to keep constantly getting beat out. Obviously, at the same time too, get in when you're ready, but when you are ready, again, capitalize on as much as possible. I remember talking to a friend of mine who's a mortgage broker, and one thing that he said that really stuck with me, like he actually made it as a story, his Instagram story, where he has like about 7 properties. He said this last year. He probably has even more at this point by now. He's like, I have 7 properties, and the only time I actually used money out of my own pocket was the first home. Because what did he do? He pulled out the equity, kept going into the next one, kept going into the next one, right? So that's the most important thing, is just get in. And the government tends not to help us sometimes, but but recently they actually have some new exemptions and all those different things that is able to help, right? Can you guys share a little bit about that? The new exemptions for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, so they did up it from $525 up to $835, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, $835. So, I mean, that just gives people, that opportunity to get into there. And, I mean, I think something else that people need is they need a plan. You need to, everyone's different. I mean, first-time home buyer that's 25, let's say 2 people, 25 years old, one person has a career as a doctor, and one person, or if you can become a doctor at 25, and one person's a teacher.
Unlikely.
Unlikely, yeah. Your friends are probably still going to school, Shawn.
Seriously.
But, not everyone's situation fits, your friend that makes X amount of money that has done this with their money isn't going to be the same as your situation. So that's another, thing I wanted to share with that point as well before we move on.
Yeah, I think that's a huge helping hand. I know the government doesn't tend to help us very often, like you mentioned, but I think it was so outdated that the price of $500,000 would be your full exemption on your property transfer tax. First of all, why are we even paying property transfer tax? Other provinces don't have it. So that's something that, maybe should have been the conversation instead of reducing it. But that $500,000 going up to $835, like Jake said, and then between that $835 all the way up to $865 with the sliding scale, it's a huge helping hand. because just on that first $500,000 alone, that's $8,000 of property transfer tax you're saving immediately. And that's something that's not rolled into your mortgage. It's actually on top of your down payment. So you can just imagine, as a first-time home buyer, that $8,000 might fully furnish your new home for you. Or that $8,000 could be your safety net if things go sideways in the future and we end up in another pandemic or whatever it might be, right? At the end of the day, the world's so unpredictable at this point. I think it's nonsense not to even have a safety net.
I think it's important going through the process, especially for a first-time home buyer, because there's so many things that come up that they might not even know that that's even a thing when purchasing. So I just feel like with Oracle, like we always, have a first meeting with our client and just go through the whole process of purchasing, and just if they have any questions, that we're always there and available to answer any of them.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the beauties of working with a team. For the same price as hiring one individual agent, who might have that 40 years of experience, but they're not going to be out there door knocking or whatever it might be, like we discussed previously. But just having 9 agents that work for you and having 3 support staff that are able to answer your questions if there is a chance that one of us is unavailable, I think that's absolutely huge. And the value in itself there is immense. The feedback you'll get from us as far as showings go, having an agent actually physically present, because on the other end, it might be a newer agent that's actually showing the property, and that person might be still learning the way, not to say that they're a bad agent or anything like that, but they might not be able to show the actual value that this property possesses in the future, whether it might be
or ask the right
redevelopment.
questions, or know the right zonings, or know the details of the property, right? But that's what it is. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
And then with Oracle, the best thing, like you're saying, is like we have so many scenarios right now even going where we have a client's home listed, but we also have one agent shopping around, helping them looking for the purchase. And that's what it comes down to, is we provide a lot of value. And all of us on this team, we don't work against each other, we work for each other. We all here helping each other. Like there's times where if Francis can't make it or if Shawn can't do a showing, someone in the team always steps up and helps each other out. Can't put up a lockbox. Like I was in Mexico, I had Jason do some stuff for me. Like it's just how things go in this industry for us. We love to help each other, and it all starts like where your team is.
Yeah.
If we're all willing to already help each other, imagine what we do for our clients then, right? Because we don't have that competition in between us, where we all feel like we're working together as one unit with a single goal in mind, right? So,
Yeah.
And back to the government thing. Because Jim's not too much of a government guy. This is a thing I learned from Jim Rohn, old school motivational speaker, right? So it comes down to this. Life's always going to be about how it's always been. Doesn't matter the interest rates. Doesn't matter what your taxes are. Doesn't matter what's going on in the economy or anything. Nothing will change unless you change. And until your perspective and your mindset for your life doesn't change, it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. It doesn't matter if it's 7% or 2%. If you can't change your perspective of like, I need to get into the market now, no matter what, you're always going to be stuck in that situation, blaming the government. They never gave me a handout or they never helped me. Because they're only going to help you once, first-time buyer. That's it. But then what's going to happen after that? Are you just going to live in that same house forever and never take a risk again? So my biggest thing and a takeaway from this would be that regardless of what's going on in the market or the world or whatever's happening, you have to change your perspective and get out of the broke mindset and get into the wealth mindset, that your remain broke mindset will keep you broke.
Yeah.
If you start thinking with a wealth mindset, you'll get wealthy. You just have to change the coin of what side you're looking at, right? So
Yeah. Well, you have to adapt, right? If you take a look at gas prices, for example, if gas was to hit $3 today, I'm still going to want to drive a car that has an engine. I'm not going to drive an electric car. I'll be completely honest with you guys. That's me going to have to
That's
adapt.
the Tesla guy right there.
The government guy drives a Tesla. But yeah,
Let's
just
go.
going back to that, that's where you have to adapt. Instead of having the aspect or the mindset of saving money at that point, realistically, you should be, again, you should definitely focus on saving money and living below your means, but you should also be focused on growing your income, because things are only going to get more expensive from here going forward. And that's just not about housing. As you can see, like when it comes to gas, when it comes to groceries, your $50 doesn't take you as far as it would have even 5 years ago.
Don't know about you guys. I'm inspired. What Mitch just said inspired me quite a bit. I love that. No, seriously, like with all the things that you guys were just saying there, I guess each of us have been in the industry for a few years now. Inspire us a bit. Tell us some of the things that you guys learned in the past few years in the start of your business. What are some things that you guys could share else, just like how Jim has?
Well, tying back to our reason why, I think that's something that people tend to either overcomplicate or oversimplify. And what I mean by that is overcomplicating it is sitting there and stressing yourself over about why to start because you want to have this fairy tale blockbuster story of your success. That's not going to be the case for every single person. And being oversimplified is, I want a Lamborghini. At the end of the day, that might work for a very small fraction of people, but that's not going to be a reality for all of us. And one thing that people need to do is just look right under their nose because there's a reason why enough for you at your own house. At the end of the day, you mentioned about our families coming to Canada and creating this beautiful life for us and making all of these sacrifices. Why shouldn't these people be our reason why? At the end of the day, we should be giving back to them and helping them see things that they might have never experienced in their lives. And that's the only timeline that you should be living on, is the timeline of your own family.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, there's a shout out to our boy GSB. He said this to me when I first went to visit him in Calgary. He's like, if you're starting off your real estate career and your first goal is to go buy a Lambo, he's like, your head's not on right. He's like, your first goal should be to retire your parents and get them set straight for life because they came here and sacrificed everything for us. So when I came back from my trip, I actually rearranged all my goals of life. And I was like, what is my why? And I heard this beautiful saying. It says, if the why is strong enough, the how is easy. A lot of people are all focused on how am I going to get rich or how am I going to do this or how am I going to get fit or whatever it might be. They just don't have a strong enough why. The why is what's going to pull you forward. And if you can figure out why you're doing what you're doing, it's that much easier to get out of bed. Because we all know here, everyone here, we all probably fight our alarm every morning. It's not easy sometimes to
I
get
fought
up.
it this morning.
Right, exactly. So it's like, if your why is strong enough, that should automatically pull you out of bed. So one thing I can suggest, go home. Who's ever listening to this, if you do listen to it, great. Write down even 5 things on why you want to do what you want to do in life. Why you want to own a house. Why you might want to have kids. Or why you might want to retire your parents. Whatever your why is, just write 5 simple things and look at them every day. It's not that hard.
And you got to start small, right? So you can build that ladder. Because like you said, if you want a Ferrari right away, like small chance, you got to start somewhere low or smaller so you can build that ladder to get there.
Yeah. And I think quality of relationships in your life is a huge, huge thing that's overlooked as well. At the end of the day, your life is something you only get once, and you should try to live every aspect to its highest capability. That means running on all 12 cylinders. And that also includes the people that you have around you. And I'm going to use an example, like me and my best friend have been best friends since preschool. And we have a relationship that I wish everybody could ever experience in their lifetime, right? And this person has been through with me through the highest moments and the lowest moments, and vice versa from my side as well. And when I look at that and I see this person is willing to give me the shirt off of their back, whether it's raining, whether it's sunny outside, whether it's snowing, that really, really sets the bar for me about the people that I want around myself. And I think if you don't have people around you that are willing to support you to that extent, then you have the wrong people around you.
I agree with that. And I like what Shae had to say because it wraps into what Jason's saying too. You got to start small. And there's like a beautiful saying, by the yard it's hard, inch by inch it's a singe. Meaning the smaller steps, it's easier to get done. A lot of people, and even me sometimes, I start focusing too far ahead and I start losing sight on what's going on right in front of me right now. So my biggest focus for 2024 is just living life in the moment. And just enjoying what we have right now, because like you don't know what's promised. Yes, we all want the luxury cars and this and that or whatever you might be chasing. It could be a farm with no cars. You could be just wanting to live off the land and that's it, and grow your own crops and have your own chickens and sheep, right? Like whatever wealth is to you, we're all trying to chase it. We all tend to get blurry vision because we start thinking too far ahead and we start losing our actual grounding, being in tune with the moment, right? So capitalize on what you can do in the moment. If you can make a call right now, make your call. If you can go door knock today, go door knock today. But don't mope around at night stating, oh, shoot, I could have done better or I didn't do enough.
I'm really happy you said that, because a lot of the stuff that we have talked about up until this point, it's all external. And I think none of this stuff works unless you work on yourself.
Yeah.
So unless you're there improving yourself, whether it be in the gym, whether it be by reading, by educating yourself, those are the things that are going to help you excel in life. And that's one thing I live very, very strongly by, is how people look at, for example, is a direct example of how they treat themselves. So whatever you're putting into your body is whatever you're going to be putting out, just like whatever you put into your business is whatever you're going to be putting out.
I love that. No, and you know what? Like, part of me asking you guys at the start and like why you got into this business is because when you are where we are at this very moment, it's always a good reminder, especially because we're at a time in our lives where obviously we're striving for the best things. We're not exactly where we want to be just yet, but we're in the thick of all things, right? And always keeping yourself grounded. Keep reminding yourself what your why is, making sure that's a strong why. And if you guys don't know what your why is, like Jim said, make sure you guys go home and really figure that out, because when the going gets tough, what is going to be coming to your mind? Right? Always remembering that, always remembering what your why is, because it's going to keep you steady. It's kind of just like how when COVID happened, sorry, not when COVID happened, but like last year when the interest rates started going up, a lot of people weren't doing deals or anything like that. And that's actually when I got into the business, literally at the hardest time, right? So it's like, what are you going to keep reminding yourself through this time to keep pushing forward, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you got to keep doing that. So good. I love how you guys have that why. And again, if you need to keep rearranging that, keep doing it. And keep reminding yourself
I think that's one of the best parts about real estate is, you know, it's a constant, you're just constantly growing, you know, it's always striving for the best, you know, every day you're just trying to do a little bit better. I remember the very first time I went to door knock, it was atrocious. I mean, I drove up to the place, got there, parked my car, sat in there for like 20 minutes, like trying to psych myself up, and I finally got out and I did it because I was like, I'm not driving back home without knocking one door.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I did like 10 doors or something. Completely fumbled it the first guy that opened. But you know, now, you know, I don't even think about it. And you know, it's every aspect of real estate is like that. And you know, I'm not just trying to improve, you know, that business. Wants me to improve everything else. So
Yeah, and that's what it is, right? Because you had that fear of that first door knock, but what you did was you worked hard on yourself. And that's what it comes down to. You got to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, because yourself is the one that's allowing you to do your job. And what happens is a lot of people just start focusing on their job and neglecting themselves. Yeah, you might do good, but you're going to wear yourself out, right? So always make sure you take time for yourself. Do things that actually are going to help you become a better version of yourself. And don't get so caught up in just always trying to chase money, because if you start neglecting yourself, you're going to have to take all the money you make to fix the self that you wrecked. So just take care of yourself along you go and enjoy what you can while you can.
Yeah.
that was a deep one. That was a good one, Jim. That was a good we gotta get that printed.
Easier said than done, of course, but yes.
And the beauty of it all is, like you said, things are constantly changing.
Yeah.
So things that you might have wanted 5 years ago, it's okay that if you don't want them today. There's always something new and better ahead of you. And at the end of the day, when you know you're changing as a person and you know these things that you want are changing as well, that's when you know you're actually growing. I'll give you an example. 5 years ago, all I wanted to do was go out and check out new bars or go clubbing or get bottle service, you know, the whole 9 yards. But now when I look at it, it's like the sun's out. Maybe I want to just go fishing and listen to Morgan Wallen. And have a
No country music.
That's so funny. I just lost my train of thought.
Cue the music.
Cue the
Cue the
music.
Morgan Wallen.
Cue the Morgan Wallen.
last night.
No, and going back to that, it's just like you're not just a salesperson when you're in real estate. You're not a salesperson at all.
Yeah.
You're a whole business itself, right? You got to think and that's actually another thing that when I first got into the business, I was just thinking strictly sales.
Yeah.
But no, there's so many more
There's so
avenues to
much.
that. Is you got to focus on the marketing side of things. You got to focus on the actual behind the scenes admin
Yeah, the
stuff, and
admin-
the
that takes
boring stuff that you guys don't even want to do. And talking about growth itself, like one of the things that I love to do, we were having a conversation about, is I love to do some marketing, right? I like being behind the camera. I like doing the tip videos. I like doing a lot of those different things. And I remember the very first time that I made that tip video. I kid you guys not. It took me probably 8 hours. It took me 8 hours. I was trying to be a perfectionist, right? Just, I didn't like this angle. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I got so fed up with myself, I left the office. I was like, man, I spent all that time and I didn't even do a video.
Yeah.
And then I was in my car and I was just like, you know what? Picked up the phone and just started talking. 30 seconds done. And I got a lot of traction from there, right? And I was like, okay, I think that's kind of the whole point. Back to you saying door knocking. Just take the step forward and just go. Just click record. Just do whatever it is. Just make sure you're taking that step forward.
Yeah, and like that's what it is, right? Where you spend 8 hours trying to be a perfectionist to make one video, then you just shot a 30-second video. Because if there's people out there, you guys seen some ridiculous videos of people doing stuff on TikTok or this or that. If those people are throwing videos like that out there, anyone who's in the real estate or professional industry, you should have no problem. Just record a video for 30 seconds of yourself talking about anything, because there's people doing obnoxious things out there and they're throwing those things online. Well, at least we can do is bring some good value to the world, because there's a lot of degenerate stuff going on in the world right now. Yeah. So proud of Shawn of just jumping on the camera for 30 seconds, because at least he provided value and wasn't twerking his ass or doing some nasty things on there. He was actually trying to help people in the world. So good job, Shawn.
He's still a perfectionist, but not as bad when it comes to the video.
It's not as bad anymore. It's not.
Start somewhere, guys.
You got to start somewhere, right?
It's value, right? At the end of the day, you're not one of those realtors that are sitting there making reels with some dumb sound in the back while you're pointing at bubbles. Like, that's providing zero value. I look at it and I look at you and I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, what am I learning from this? I just lost 5 seconds of my life. I'm never going to get back.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of people out there, they want that, fame and one-hit wonder kind of thing. They'll do whatever it takes to do that video or Instagram or TikTok reel or whatever it might be. I'm just happy all of us here, even though we are part of the younger generation, that each of us here don't even have an ounce of blood to allow ourselves to do that, because we all at Oracle hold ourselves to the highest standard in this industry.
Yeah.
We don't mess around. We don't lie. We don't cheat. We're men and women of our word, and we have accountability. If you want something done and you want to get it to the finish line, Oracle is the people you reach out to. Yeah, you might have other agents. There might be someone who's even better qualified than us. But if you look at our track record and we show you how many deals we do, how many negotiations we go through a month, we're the team that will take you through the whole entire process and to the finish line. That's what separates us.
Yeah, treating others' money like it's our own. Yeah, and that's one thing that's really important as a real estate agent. We sell houses every single day, and that's something that is not going to stop. But the people that are selling these houses, they might only be doing 1 or 2 purchases or sales in their
what was the
entire
crazy
lifetime.
stats David just gave us last week at our meeting? We, in 14 days, sold how many houses?
14.
14?
1 per day. Most agents don't even do 14 a year. So what this does for us and how this gives us an advantage compared to other realtors is we're dealing with this stuff daily. We're dealing with negotiations always. How we get listing appointments, how I got my last one was simple. I took in all the offers that I've put in already this year and all the listings that I've got signed up and negotiating for. And I showed them, I was like, you might meet with other agents that are going to come give you maybe even a better CMA, nice printed, stapled, printed, beautiful. Here's the comps. Here's all the listing contracts I have going, and here's all the stuff that I helped buy this year already. This is why I'm a better agent to go with, because I'm working on this daily and I'm reading contracts. I'm negotiating my hardest for my clients. Compared to another agent who might just bring you a beautiful package, how many deals have they really done throughout the year? So for us, like me and David, I had to take the big dog David in to get the steal of the deal done, but he helped me close it. We got it done, and it's a $2.25 million listing, right? So it's not a small listing, and someone's trusting us to get that done, but it's because we showed the value, right? So, and that's what it is. And this one was awesome because David came with me one meeting and Sunny. So this is a shout out to the boys for always supporting your teammates. We appreciate it.
Right on, and I close with this is I was very excited to have you guys on here. Again, getting the young bucks of the team, but there's so much value that each of you guys provide, right? Both of you, like you, Shae, you are the most genuine person that I know. Jason, you are always willing to help. You are such a team player, and I love that about you. It was awesome having you be an addition to the team, and you fit in just like a glove. Like, honestly, it's perfect. And then with you, Jake, is like, you're a grinder, man. You're a grinder, and like, I think anyone would be lucky to have you as a realtor, because you don't just go 100%. You go 110, 20%, and Midge. Midge. Where do I start? Man, I'm excited to have you as my co-host, man. You're awesome at what you do, not even just in real estate, but as a person, as an individual. So this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun season that we're going to be doing. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys enjoy this, please like and subscribe. And apart from that, we will see you next time.
The next move is yours.
The next move is yours.
Perfect. That was sick, guys. Good job.
Cool.
That was actually